Looking to make large prints, but you can't due to the size of your 3D printer? Well, I'm going to give you a quick and dirty tutorial on how to use LuBan to chop up any STL so that you can make it any size and print it on any size 3D printer. So let's get to it. First, find your favorite STL file that you want to make larger than your 3D printer. My choice was the Mickey Jack-O-Lantern from the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party from Disney World. Already downloaded it. Now let's load it into LuBan. File open. Load your favorite STL. And there you'll be the normal size. Once the STL is loaded, go to Mesh on the top toolbar, Cut. Take note of the tool tip. After changing a value in a text box, hit the Enter key to update the display. Very important tip. You'll see why later. And choose the units that you want to use. I choose to use millimeter because it matches what the 3D printer is, or what I know about the 3D printer in terms of the bed size. And hit OK. Now on the left side, under Method, you want to choose Modular. And the model size is how big you want this model to be. So I knew that I wanted this Mickey pumpkin to be about 18 inches across from ear to ear. So I chose 450 millimeters, it's approximately that, and pressed Enter. And the entire model will transform at that exact percentage. Now, below that is 3D printer. This is where you set the size of your 3D printer. As you can see, this cut up into 6 pieces, but I have a bigger printer. So I changed the printer size to what my printer can handle. So 280 by 260 by 310, and press Enter. And suddenly, that print now is sliced in, or will be sliced into 4 separate pieces. Now you may be asking yourself, or you may be asking me, what is all of this stuff down here? I'll be honest, this is a quick and dirty tutorial. I have no friggin' idea. But I do know if you don't want like connectors between the pieces, you can turn that off down here in connectors. You can, however, change the shape of the plugs that you want to connect both pieces to anything you'd like here to make it fit better. You could change the depth ratio, how deep you want it to go through your prints, and also the tolerances, which I believe is the tolerances between the pieces. So when it fits in a little looser or tighter. I had it at 0. I wish I had it like 1, I guess. I haven't really done a whole lot of testing with that. Under 3D printer, though, I forgot to mention also, part number. When you cut these up, it'll have part numbers on the back. In this case here, it's not on this print, but on the other print, it had actual part numbers. So if you have multiple prints with, say, 8 to 10 or 15 pieces, it'll tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. If you have multiple 3D printers, you can select multi-printer under 3D printer and set it up and list all your printers here and all the different build sizes or build plate sizes here. As you do that, it'll then cut up it'll cut up the STL to utilize all of your printers at once, and it'll slice it up for pieces per printer. For this example, though, I'm just going to stick to one printer, make it easier. So back to one printer. It's going to be 4 STL files cut up. I'm happy with the size. I'm happy with the slices. All I have to do is hit cut. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. So I'm going to save it here under test. I'm going to make a folder called test, rather. Test. We'll save it there. And there you have it. All sliced and ready to go. Now, I don't know how true this print time is. It did seem to be pretty truthful for the cut that I did, because it's about, actually, it's probably about closer to 60 to 70 hours. But this is close. But I think once you throw it through Cura or Prusa Slicer and change the settings, that changes up exactly how it's going to print and how much time it's actually going to take, depending on infill, wall size, etc. So now that it's sliced up, I'm going to go ahead and go into my test folder that I set up for this. And it'll show all the files that were created from that cut. Now, the only files that I care about for my purposes are these 4 STL files right here. You can print them in any order you want, but those are the 4 that will create that Mickey pumpkin head to make it the size that I want. Load it up into your slicer, load it into Cura, Prusa Slicer, Super Slicer, whatever slicer you have. Load it up in there, change your settings accordingly to your printer, to how you want it printed. Don't play with the sizing, because obviously you'd have to play with the sizing on all 4 STLs. But once you do that, print, and you're good to go. Do that 4 times, and you have yourself a full-on print.